AZA-accredited zoos and aquariums recognize that all life on Earth is part of one interconnected system. Animals, plants, and humans are all affected by changes in our environment, and one of the biggest challenges we face today is climate change. So you might wonder, what's causing the climate to change? It's simple, really. You probably know that regular carbon dioxide, or CO2, is released into the air when animals exhale, and that it is then absorbed by plants to help them grow, and oceans to help them maintain their life-sustaining chemical balance. But we are also adding CO2 to the air when we burn coal or oil for electricity, or gas to power our cars. We call this rampant CO2 because there is too much of it being produced. Rampant CO2 is building up in our oceans and disrupting nature's balance. Rampant CO2 is also building up in our atmosphere, where it surrounds our planet and acts much like a blanket which traps heat. As we add more and more CO2, it increases the heat-trapping blanket effect, resulting in climate changes that are already affecting us and many species of animals, even those that can be found near you. For instance, did you know that the delicate balance of the Indiana ecosystem is being disrupted by climate change? One of the species affected is the Indiana bat. These bats migrate between seasons to follow their source of food, insects. Milder winters signal pregnant females to migrate early. But when they arrive in their spring habitat, when it's really still winter, the insects they eat are not yet available. Without enough food, the females can't produce enough milk, and in turn, the pups don't have enough to eat and may not survive. Since Indiana bats have only one pup a year, this situation is causing their population to decrease. Fewer bats disrupts the food web, leading to more mosquitoes and other pesky insects. But it's not too late to take steps to manage this situation responsibly. We know that the majority of Americans are concerned about climate change, but many feel overwhelmed by it, or think they're too busy to address it. Fortunately, it doesn't take a lot of effort to protect wildlife if we work together. Did you know that more than 180 million people, like you, visit AZA-accredited zoos and aquariums each year? That's more than the annual attendance of all professional sporting events combined. If all of us start by sharing our concerns with friends, families, and coworkers, we can find ways to turn concern into positive change action. In communities across the country, people are joining together to create systems that make it easier to curb CO2 emissions. For example, we know that more than 1/3 of our CO2 emissions comes from using energy to produce, transport, and dispose of the food we eat and the goods we use. In Detroit, Michigan, a coalition of more than a dozen nonprofit organizations, businesses, and academic institutions banded together to take an inventory of heat-trapping emissions from fossil fuel use and conduct an assessment of how the city could take steps to protect the places people depend on from the effects of climate change. This Detroit Climate Action Collaborative is exploring ways to weatherize buildings and install more energy-efficient systems to reduce CO2 emissions. This community-driven approach is helping the city mitigate the impacts of climate change. When local people join together to support system-wide change, it becomes fun and easier for everyone to reduce their CO2 emissions. We hope you will connect with those in your social circles to increase the conversation about climate change and find creative ways to protect people and animals that share our home.